Welcome back here, Gordon Mann in Las Vegas, Nevada, with the D3Hoops.com Classic Conversation, joined by the head coach from the Keene State Owls. Coach, we had 4 All-Americans here, and you played against 3 of them. We had a handful of conference champions here, and you played against 2 of them. Yeah. So the scheduling gods were not kind to you. You played Amherst and you played Emmanuel. 2 hard-fought games, 2 losses. But talk to us about what the positives you take away from the experience here this weekend.
The positive is it's a great tournament. Really, really enjoyed it. It's run really well. And you're going to face very good competition. So I think it's going to help us prepare for our conference season, because every conference is different than anything else, because you're in those type of games all the time. But when you're playing the level of competition, Amherst and Emmanuel, that we played, we should be well prepared for our conference season. So in that regard, and yeah, you said we played 3 out of the 4. Well, it seemed like we played like 6 or 7 as opposed to 3 or 4.
Right, yeah.
But no, great experience for the kids. And yesterday was difficult, but today I thought we battled back.
Yeah.
No rest whatsoever. Preparation time was very short. But as long as we can keep moving forward, I think we'll be okay. And if we do get better, I think this experience is going to have a lot to do with it.
You play in the Little East Conference. We were talking about this before we went on, and it's a conference where teams tend to move up and down. So Eastern Connecticut State has always been very good. Mm-hmm. But we've seen programs like Mass Dartmouth or Mass Boston rise kind of quickly up the ranks. So we've seen programs like Western Connecticut go the opposite direction. And you were conference champions a few years ago. I know the last season was rough, but there's much more fluidity and there's much more up and down movement through the ranks in your conference than in others like the GNAC, where Emmanuel's in first place every year.
Exactly.
What creates that sort of free flow between up and down through the ranks?
I think it's because it's such a competitive conference and everybody wants to win, obviously, and they know that you've got to have players to do that. And everybody's out. I see my my fellow coaches in the other schools, they're out all the time looking for players, and you got to compete every night. And if you don't, you might be the top team in the conference. You might lose a tough game. So I want that. I want to recruit players that want that type of experience. I don't want to recruit and say, okay, we're going to win a conference championship 9 out of 10 years in a row. It'd be nice to do, but I want to compete so they know that they're in a dogfight every night, and we are in our conference. There's no doubt about that.
So, I mean, the team with the conference's best record is Mass Boston. They're 9-1. They beat Messiah yesterday. Their one loss is to you. So, do you expect more of that sort of, more of that sort of equity and parity once you get back into conference play?
I think so. I mean, we played very well that day in Boston. They didn't have their best game, and they're very good. I think we have some competition in our conference, and we have some very good teams. So consequently, you can't have a bad quarter. You can't, and when you do, you're going to suffer. So Boston's playing really well. Rick is playing really well, and Eastern's played Amherst as well. We play some tough competition, and that's what you want to do, though, right? You want to compete against the best.
So you have a very young roster. You've got 2 seniors, you've got a handful of juniors, but most of your team as freshmen. Talk to me about how that roster came together.
Simply because we needed depth, and we didn't have that last year. And we wanted to bring in a bunch of freshmen that love to play and would give us the opportunity to scrimmage and scrimmage hard all the time. It's very difficult when you have 10 players and 2 of them in class and 1's hurt. So when the coaches get out there and start scrimmaging, that's when the bones really start to hurt. So we're much better off this year, and we got a good group of freshmen, and we're looking forward to their growth.
Tell us a little bit about 2 of the freshmen in particular. I know DeRosia didn't have a great weekend here, but she has a real nice shooting touch. She's your team's leading scorer. Looks like a building block for the program going forward.
Yeah, Hayley. I think Hayley's going to be very good. At times, we have to prod her into shooting. She's very unselfish.
Noticed that,
and obviously she takes the ball to the rim well. She's long, and I think she's going to have a very good career if she realizes that, you know what, you got a lot more to give, and we just need to push her a little bit more.
And talk about Adamson. It looks like you have something that's nice for an upcoming team. You have some some depth at the forward position. So you do have some height. We were commenting during the broadcast, you don't have a lot of 6-footers, and very few Division III teams do. But what you do have is a lot of 5'10" players, including at the guard position, and that is unusual.
Yeah. Trying to get as big as you can in this game and as athletic as you can, but Sam's done a pretty good job. She's physical. She posts up well. Leah Pelkey, another freshman for us, is coming along. So it's a growth process, and it's going to take time, but every day we're hoping they get a little bit better.
I know last season was rough. You were 4-21 overall. This year you're, again, 2-8, although the real part of your season hasn't really begun very much. Have you had to do anything as far as with the handful of upperclassmen on the team to keep them engaged, keep their head up, to fight off any kind of discouragement?
No, I don't think so, because they know that, you know what, every day you earn your playing time.
Right.
There's no given, all right? You know, we live in a democracy, but athletics is a meritocracy. Every day you earn what you merit, okay? So they understand that, and they're all coming into practice and competing well, and I think this is really going to help us, because now it's going to upper the level of competition in practice, because they know they got to compete at that level to play against the best.
So that last game with you against Emmanuel, Yosanov's been at Emmanuel for 43 years. You've been at Keene State. You're approaching your 30th year.
31st, actually.
31st year, okay. What's the key to the longevity?
I think a little bit of insanity, for one thing, and I think
not running scrimmage with you playing.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think for the most part, you got to have a passion for what you do, and you got to love what you do. And I think we have a great situation at Keene State academically, the environment, and the athletics, and we get good kids. So that's what you coach for. And at the end of the day, it's about the relationships. You know, when I retire, I'm going to remember games. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But I'm going to remember the relationships that I had with my colleagues, my coaches, and my players, because those are the things that you take with you for life.
Last question for you. We know this trip is largely about basketball, but you know Las Vegas is not Keene, New Hampshire, so you have a chance to do some.
That right.
So you got to have a chance to do some different things. Or I know you're leaving, so you're leaving tomorrow, if weather permitting. Yeah. So you may have additional time to do some things. What non-basketball stuff have you been able to do?
We're going to go to a homeless shelter, but they only take 10 people at a time, and we try to do something to give back, and they just said it was too many people.
Okay.
So that was one thing we were going to do, but the other day we went to the UNLV game. The men played on the 28th against Eastern Michigan, and you know, we've been to big-time games before, but they do it up in, I guess, Las Vegas, the pyrotechnics and you know the lights and the whole 9 yards. It was a great experience for the kids, because obviously they don't see that every day.
Yeah.
So that was great. And tonight, a bunch of them are going zip lining.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going out for pizza. They're going to walk down and see all the different places and that stuff. So they're excited about that. But it's just as much, when we go on a trip, it's just as much a cultural experience as a basketball experience. Because
zip lining for you, of course.
No, I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to pass on the zip line. I'm going to watch and say, just don't fall off. Yeah, just don't fall off. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, thanks very much for coming, Coach. We'll keep our eyes on the Owls, watching you as you head back into Little East Conference play. And thanks for joining us here at the Classic.
Thanks for having me.
From the D3Hoops.com Classic, this is Gordon Mann.